The story starts on a battlefield, where this big stone beast is slamming the ground while a guy with a shield is trying to hold it off. It looks intense, but turns out it's just a low-level dungeon called Margoyle. The shield guy takes a punch straight to the face, then someone in the back tells him to stop getting smacked around like that and to learn to deflect the attack to the side. Meanwhile, another group jumps in and says it's time to attack. One of them slashes the creature and the whole team charges, hitting the golem from all sides. That just makes it mad, and it activates some kind of red power. The smaller guy with the shield warns everyone to be careful. It's entered berserker mode and tells them to stay close to him. The mages start casting spells, and one of them, wearing a cat, yells at the clueless guy in the back to give him some mana because he's out. That clueless guy, that's Sano Haruto, your typical low-tier hunter with the ability to give mana to others. From his dumb expression and trash ability, you can already tell, yeah, he's our protagonist. The guy not only has a lame skill, but he also has to go through this ritual just to throw mana onto other people's backs. Then the golem charges again, but this time our protagonist tosses mana into his friend's back, making it easy for the guy to use magic and finish off the creature. The dungeon's low level, sure, but man, everyone looks completely wiped out. Then this musclehead walks over and tells Sano that since he barely helped with the raid, he can at least clean up the rest of the place. The group starts wondering why a guy with a damage-dealing ability is stuck playing mana support. The one in orange says that technically, the kid is an attacker. He just happens to only have one skill, generating mana. At least it's basically infinite mana. Honestly, that ability is kind of broken. Even if the guy's weak, right? Let's be real. That's exactly what the other guy's thinking too. But then he explains that in this world, mages can also pull mana from priests, so it's not that special. And the dude in the cap adds that that's why this useless guy hasn't even hit level 30 after 5 years. While he's swinging a pickaxe at some rocks, Sano thinks to himself how these jerks keep talking loudly on purpose, so he hears them. Still, no matter what they say, he's not giving up. Then we cut to the Great Sage Guild building. Sliding his hands on a desk, the protagonist demands to know why they're suddenly trying to transfer him to the production department. The old guy says, unfortunately, Sano has to understand. There's no one left in the company who can keep up with him on hunts. You just can't be a professional hunter at level 29 when all you've got is a single mana generation skill. Sano tries to argue that he's incredibly useful. He can provide nearly unlimited mana, plus he's about to hit level 30, which is a big deal. The guy just says that most mages and healers already have mana absorption skills, so whatever Haruto does isn't all that useful. Why does he think reaching level 30 is going to change anything? He adjusts his glasses and says the decision's already been made by the higher-ups, so he better just accept it. Right then and there, Haruto realizes, yep, if he refuses this, he's going to get kicked out of the guild. Later, sitting at a bench, he remembers the guy's final words. Unfortunately, we just don't see any potential in you. Poor guy's sitting there wondering how he ended up unemployed out of nowhere. The truth is, most people assume his ability is just absorbing mana and transferring it to teammates. But it's actually a little different. Though obviously he never told anyone the full story. As he stares at an onigiri in his hand, a screen pops up, asking if he wants to copy the item using Ctrl+C. He clicks yes, a light flashes, and boom, the onigiri is duplicated in his hand. That's right, folks, he's got copy and paste. Basically, he copies, then he pastes. Yep, he's Windows-kun. The catch? Anything he copies disappears the second it leaves his hand, which means no copying OP gear and becoming Elon Musk level rich. Even worse, just to copy this dumb little dagger of his, he needs to be level 90. So what's he doing to help people for now? He copies his own mana, keeps the original, and hands off the copied others. Since he keeps the original, he never runs out. He tried copying other skills before, but they all have ridiculous requirements. All the guy wants is to gain a few more levels. That's it. Then life would finally change. The second he can start copying gear, game over. That's a whole different ballgame. Then he sees a news article on his phone. The Kalisha Dragon's longsword has just arrived in Japan. This is a super rare, ridiculously overpowered item, because the moment you use it, you instantly level up 200 times. Man, I've played a lot of RPs, but I've never seen something this busted, straight up broken. Only catch? You need to be level 30 or higher to use it. He immediately imagines himself with that sword. If he could just copy it once and keep the copy forever, boom, he'd be level 230. But the problem is, the sword's just now arriving in Japan, and its durability is super low, which means it'll only survive a few more hunts. So instead of using it, they're putting it on display. And theoretically, that's his perfect chance to copy it. All he needs desperately is to hit level 30 within a week. A few days pass, and now I have no idea what this monster is. Looks like some flying bats, maybe, or giant blood-sucking mosquitoes. Wait, no. 6 legs. So it's probably spiders, right? Although, honestly, I don't know why I called those things bloodsuckers with mouths full of teeth. Man, they're dangerous. This was an unregistered dungeon, not recognized by the guild. A blonde guy looks back and asks for mana. Our beloved Sano Haruto is there, doing the only thing he knows how to do. Thanks to him, the guy casts a giant flame and sets everything on fire. Meanwhile, our poor loser can only sit there thinking about how insane the gap is between them. He peeks at his stat window, praying he leveled up. Then out of nowhere, another guy appears behind him and tells him to quit staring at windows. Nothing's gonna change just like that. Haruto apologizes, saying he just got a little distracted. That's when the guy adds that if he keeps standing around like this, he's gonna have to pay a spectator's fee for the dungeon, which would be a beer after the run. At least that guy's chill, which means of course he's gonna die. Oh, poor dude, his name's Ikea. Let's see how many seconds he lasts in this story. Haruto is actually feeling hopeful. I mean, sure, it's an unregistered dungeon, but at least here he's got a chance to level up. They keep walking deeper into the cave. Then suddenly one of them stops and tells everyone to get ready. They're entering the queen's chamber. Behind a pillar, there she is. A giant creature surrounded by a nest full of eggs. Her name? Alexa. Level 80 spawn. Yikes, just a bit above our protagonist's pay grade, huh? He's already thinking that if one of those legs touches him, he'll get turned into vapor. One guy asked why Haruto looks so scared. Wasn't he gonna fight? Sure, if a spider looks easy, but you gotta stay sharp. If you get caught in her web, you'll be stuck there till she eats you alive. Also, better steer clear of the eggs. Aggressive little monsters could hatch at any second. Then the blonde guy yells at the leader to stop explaining everything like Haruto's some kind of tourist. So yeah, Haruto just stands there quietly, doing what he does best. Nothing. Then Blondie, being the genius he is, stomps forward in a huff and kicks a rock straight into the web. Instantly, the queen wakes up and lunges to bite. The tank throws himself in front of the hit, shouting that now they're screwed, all thanks to this dumb mage. But the dude's a beast. He blocks the attack and even slices off one of the spider's legs. He tells everyone to scatter and keep away from the eggs. The whole group starts wailing on her from all sides. Swords fly into her mouth while our boy Haruto is hiding behind a pillar. Kinda wild. They're actually putting in work against a level 80 boss. Then suddenly the spider turns around and aims her butt at everyone. The tank yells at them to take cover behind the pillars. But Nu, the blonde idiot, is already charging up another fireball, talking big about how they've beaten her tons of times. So there's nothing to be scared of. He fires off his attack and web bombs go everywhere, slamming into the cavern walls. His fire spell collides but doesn't seem to do any damage. He keeps yelling about pride and how he's not going to give up on this attack. Haruto tries to warn him, but it's already too late. The guy just keeps casting. The tank with headbands screams at him to stop before the eggs hatch, but Haruto can see it's over. The eggs all start cracking open. The tank tries to say something, but gets smacked and blasted into the ground. Right then, Igana shows up yelling it's coming from every side. And yep, webs from all directions, wrapping everyone up, pinning them to the floor, the pillars, everything. Please let Blondie be the first to die for this dumbass move. And yes, he screams in desperation and gets crushed. Our boy Sono Haruto is now stuck to a pillar, watching his buddy get chewed up. Time to place your bets. Option 1. He levels up the last second, copies his skill, and saves the day. Option 2. A hot giant waifu appears and rescues him. Option 3. He dies like a fool and the story ends right here. Welp, after the spider finishes wrecking his friend, she lunges and slashes at Haruto, cutting the web and sending him flying. Blood shoots out of every hole in his face. And right then the system asks if he wants to paste what he copied. That's when the cheeky bastard smirks and says his ability isn't that useless. Other stuff disappears when he copies and pastes, but he doesn't. That's why every time he enters a dungeon, he makes a copy of himself as a backup. So just like in a game, when he dies, he pastes himself somewhere else and the old body vanishes. God damn it, I made 56 bets, and none of them were right. Turns out the copy he makes is kind of inside himself, like he's a walking clone. So when he dies, he just respawns. Dies again, respawns again. Now he's back behind the pillar, all bent and busted up. He can't die, but he also can't escape. Then he sees one of the guys still stuck in the webs, the leader of the one we knew was going to die, begging for help. But Haruto knows there's no saving that guy. The boss is tearing everything apart, and Haruto decides to try something. He's pissed that after everything, he might die without landing even one hit. Right as the boss attacks, Haruto swings at her leg, managing to redirect the blow. Right at that moment, he earns some experience from landing a successful hit and finally levels up. But just as he looks at the notification, bam, the boss lands a massive hit right to his chest. Once again, he had backed himself up and copy-pasted into existence. The problem? His attacks still do absolutely nothing to this boss. But our sneaky boy is about to pull a ReZero move. Doesn't matter if he has to die hundreds of times, one day he'll take this monster down. Dope, the creature attacks again, and Haruto charges in. He mutters that, scratch by scratch, eventually he'll win. 3 days go by. After countless deaths and most of his teammates' weapons breaking, Haruto has finally grown. A lot. Meanwhile, the Spider Queen is looking rough. She can't heal from any of the damage he's done. She launches another wave of webbing, but this time he dodges. He's already getting used to the speed of her projectiles. She swipes at him again. He jumps, scales her leg, and climbs straight to her head. The other Infernoids just die already. He drives his sword straight into her brain, which immediately snaps in half like a cheap twig. She throws him off, crashes him into and lets out a roar. But just as she's about to bite him, cracks spread across her body. Her HP finally hits 0. She explodes into pieces. Haruto just lies there, totally drained. After that many deaths, his brain's basically mush. Then ding ding ding, a flood of level up notifications fills his screen. The reward for defeating the great Spider Queen is granted. Our Marvel hero over here decides to go check on his friend. After 3 whole days. But just as he's heading out, something slams down right next to him. He looks up and, oh hell no, a bunch of spiders. Get out of here, you freaky albino creeps. Problem is, he's got no weapon, and the guy next to him, completely wrecked. He doesn't want to just leave him to die. Flashback, 2 hours earlier on a bridge in Tokyo. In a car, a soldier named Moore Grant, level 112, asks a girl named Aries how many times she's been to Japan. She's a mage, level 131, and says this is her second time. He asks if it's her mom's homeland. She says it doesn't matter. She's here for one reason. There's something she wants to find in one of Japan's dungeons. Grant says it'd be great if she found it, but she warns him not to get too involved in her business, or he'll end up getting hurt. Just then, a voice over the intercom announces that the truck is crossing the dungeon Rainbow Gate, or the Rainbow Bridge dungeon. Whatever. It's a rainbow. It's a bridge. There's a dungeon involved. All electronics will be disabled for 5 minutes due to electromagnetic waves. Apparently, there's a dungeon right underneath the bridge, and the guy was eager to check it out. Nearby, in an office, a hunter named Shinoda Satoru, level 21. So yeah, he's small time. He complains that this place is so boring. His buddy beside him says that's probably because the guy only got the job through connections. And let's be real, without connections, you're not getting into a place like this. Suddenly, a slime bumps into Satoru's leg. He crouches to pick it up, saying this one's kinda cute. Way better than the creepy ones you find inside dungeons. He asks if it's normal for these little guys to be outside. The other guy says yeah, but he sounds nervous. Then bam, something slams into Satoru's back. He turns around, and just the shadow is enough to tell. A giant ogre is about to turn him into jam. Yep, game over. That guy's paced now. Back in the present, our dear Sano Haruto survived once again with his trusty Cruel C, Troll V trick. He's aiming to hit level 50 next. That's usually when things start getting easier. You can finally find decent dungeon groups, and of course, better parties mean better loot and XP. Feeling good about life and thinking it's finally his time to shine. Suddenly, a group pushes past him, yelling for him to get out of the way. He's confused, trying to figure out why everyone's running around like headless chickens. Someone up front asks if they're really going in before the major guilds arrive. The other guy says they have to because the legendary sword is being brought in. War Grant gets the news. Good news, the sword's nearby. Bad news, a dungeon just erupted in that area. On top of the association building, some aircraft are being prepped for launch. The hunters seem more focused on protecting the legendary longsword because yeah, that thing's worth a fortune. But someone steps up and says to follow her orders. She's the leader. The most no-nonsense girl we've seen in days announces that the association's priority is killing monsters and rescuing civilians. As she boards the ship, she says everything else can be discussed later. That's when someone in the back starts yelling that they want to go too. Nanas ignores it and tells everyone to board. And of course, it's our boy Sano, begging to go with him. He says he's been in the guild for 5 years and knows everyone. He admits he's not that strong, but he wants to help save civilians. She looks confused, probably wondering what in the world this walking trash can think he's going to do. So there's Haruto, giving this dramatic speech about how every bit of help is needed to save lives. Nanas, clearly more interested in leaving than debating, just sighs and lets him board. Next thing you know, bam, he's inside. She casually mentions she heard he saved some junior back at the spider nest. Sounds like he's a real altruistic guy. He thanks her, while thinking to himself that he only saved that poor kid because there was profit in it. Just like now, he's only here for the loot. The other hunters start talking. Didn't we stabilize the Rainbow Bridge dungeon like 3 weeks ago? Why is it bursting open again? Nana says stuff like this happens all the time. That's why they always have to be ready. Their job is to make sure the disaster from 15 years ago never happens again. Cue flashback. Thanks, Horvato. Back then, a bunch of dungeon gates exploded all at once. There weren't enough hunters in the world to deal with it. Creatures just roamed freely. It was during that chaos that Haruto's mom got turned into a pancake under a car. But on that day, he also saw some kind of transcendent being, like something from another dimension. That's when he got his ability, or his curse. Hard to tell. All the voice said was 20 years. He still doesn't know what that meant. Is it the duration of the skill? His lifespan? Something else? But he does know he's got a mark on his neck, and the time is ticking. He's convinced that entity only showed up because of the great disaster. Maybe the hard glass mark is counting down to the next one. If that's true, then he's got 5 years left. 5 years to become the strongest hunter he can. Back at the bridge. Boom. The gate's blown wide open. Cars are flying like rocks. Chaos everywhere. The hunters on the ground are already overwhelmed. Not enough people to protect the civilians. A little goblin tries to stab one kid, who manages to land a sword strike to the gut. But just as another goblin comes from behind, someone slices it midair. Wait, these two actually survived that pissed-off orc from earlier. These guys are tougher than they look. The guy tells the spoiled rich kid to focus. Next time he's not saving him again. Turns out when that orc was about to squash them both, he basically hugged the kid out of harm's way. Barely saved them. Shinoda Satoru, looking all emotional, thinks, "This guy's saved me twice now." He asks about reinforcements, but the guy says something's off. Still, they should be on the way. For now, best move is to cross the bridge and link up with them. No solo hero plays until backup arrives. Meanwhile, a giant bear is hammering a truck. It's a level 190 monster. Behind it, Grant is nervously asking if the truck's gonna hold. Eris says not to worry. She's using her maximum level defensibility. Even a level 400 beast couldn't break it that easily. Everyone looks up and sees the ships from the Great Sage arriving. Wait, nope, not the Great Sage ships, Grant yells. Either are you wanting to look out? Turns out, what they were really seeing was a giant dragon named Quasia. Nanas tells everyone to brace for impact. The beast charges up in attack. Boom! Explosion hits the ship directly. The whole bridge shakes, collapses. Okay, but wait, where the heck are the guild ships? From the looks of it, they're above the dragon. Or maybe not. Honestly, I'm confused too. 1 second it's the bridge, next it's the ship. He shoots another fireball, and this time, yeah, it hits the ship for real. Tobu chaos. People jump out midair to fight. Nanas has already hit the ground. One of the officials says the association's taking over now. They all look confident, but let's be real. These guys have side character death flag written all over them. Nanas, meanwhile, asks about a certain hunter, Sulhajan. Sometimes they use his Korean name, sometimes Japanese. I'm confused too, don't worry. But she seems confident this guy's not dying here. Then she blasts a hellfire spell, which kinda looks like water, but hey, it hits the boss square on. Back to Haruto, he's midair using a spiderweb skill on a lamppost, swinging to safety like a nerdy Spider-Man. Everyone else is dying left and right, and this dude's still worried about copying that legendary dragon's sword. The association group's pushing across the bridge. They're all anxious, saying it's way too dangerous for them. Of course, no one wants to fight Quasia, but it's the fastest way to close the gate. Meanwhile, Haruto's casually strolling through monster corpses, all diced up. These things weren't that strong. The real problem with wolves is that they never come alone. Nearby, Shinoda Satoru's slashing through enemies, yelling his lungs out. But his buddy, the one from earlier, got bitten in the ribs and is not doing great. Haruto takes a quick look at the situation, trying to analyze things, and decides, yeah, not my problem. He's got bigger things to worry about. The big guy, the one who saved the friend earlier, yells at Haruto to run, says there's no way he's surviving this mess without a top-tier hunter. Right then, a massive paw slams down nearby, and an entire pack shows up. These were moon wolves, and the issue with them? Even though they're only level 15, they roll in huge numbers. Man, Shinoda Satoru may not be the protagonist, but the guy's got guts. He yells that if his senior got hurt protecting him, then he'll die protecting his senior. That's when Haruto remembers saving that team leader in the spider dungeon. And oh boy, here he goes again. Time to do something stupid, huh? A wolf leaps at Haruto, and by the looks of it, he's about to get chomped. Oh no, wait, I thought Haruto was going to save him, but the kid turns and slices the wolf's head off himself. Another one rushes in from behind, and again the kid manages to defend. Guess Haruto really doesn't want to help, huh? Then a third wolf lunges for the back of the kid's neck. Finally, our protagonist shows up and shoulder charges the thing midair. Come on, Haruto. Maybe bring a weapon next time, yeah? He asks if the kid's okay. The boy says he is, but tells him to look around. Yeah, the number of creatures is still massive. The kid says Haruto should run even if they're low-level monsters that can't handle this many. But Haruto just smirks and says, this is the perfect situation for me. The kid, who honestly feels more like Haruto's little brother at this point, looks totally confused. Haruto pulls something from his inventory and says he was kind of annoyed he couldn't sell it. But now he's excited to see how it interacts with his skill. The wolves pounce and Satoru screams in panic. But that's when Haruto slaps a troll +5, pasting the giant spiderweb skill he copied from the boss. Suddenly, the wolves are all tangled up, choking and flailing, crashing into each other. They're stuck together like spaghetti in a meatball mess, completely unable to fight back. Within seconds, a towering mass of tangled up monsters forms, and Haruto is just standing there like a boss, leveling up like it's good. Exactly as he expected, an area immobilization skill is perfect for swarming enemies. Satoru is lying there like, who is this guy? He asks if Haruto was sent by the Hunter Association, and Haruto, technically not lying, says yeah, after all, he was on the same helicopter. The injured guy, super humble, even asks Haruto to carry Satoru to safety so he won't die. But of course the kid's like, no way I'm leaving my senior behind. Haruto, amazed by this ride or die loyalty, thinks to himself, these guys would die for each other. I wouldn't die for anyone. Feeling slightly moved, he opens his inventory, pulls out a potion and hands it to the two. Says it's not enough to let the guy keep fighting, but at least it'll stop him from dying. The injured guy stares at him, like, dude, this potion's insanely expensive. Haruto just replies, I want to see you make it out of here. Take your senior with you. Satoru's clearly falling in love now. This kid's down bad. He's all emotional, thanking Haruto, introducing himself as Kang Seon. And okay, note for later, new names that show up stay in Korean, but all the old ones, forever in Japanese. Haruto couldn't care less, he just starts walking off. But then suddenly turns around and asks, hey, have you guys seen the international hunters around? 'Cause yeah, he knows they're the ones carrying that legendary sword. Meanwhile, back with the big old bear closing in on the truck. Urs is casually holding it off and putting it to sleep like it's no big deal. Grant's impressed she has so many non-lethal abilities. Suddenly a projectile flies in, he reacts instantly and cuts him midair. He mutters that it was only a matter of time before someone tried to swipe the sword during all this chaos. Ertz's face immediately changes. A masked group steps forward, saying he's sharp for noticing, so he better just hand it over now. But before Grant can respond, they'd already attack. Grant blocks and shouts that they're not easy targets. There's a reason they were chosen to protect the sword. He tells Urge to back off, but dude charges in, of course. Urge tells him not to, like we all knew he's about to die. Yup, he freezes mid-attack, drops to his knees, coughing up blood. Completely stunned, he has no clue what just happened. Urge explains. They use a potion that blocks mana absorption, which means if he tries to use any skills, he dies. The masked leader congratulates them, saying they never underestimate their targets. Urge comments that they must be seriously desperate if they're using items banned by the association. A magic circle lights up on her finger, and she says things are about to get very uncomfortable. One of them tries to hit her with a fireball, mocking her. A mage with no mana? Might as well die. Bad move. In 1 second, 30% of his head and shoulder is just gone. Instant KO. Guy drops like a brick. The enemy boss starts charging to grab the sword, but now their group is getting shredded, thrown off the bridge, eaten alive. The masked commander realizes, wait a minute, Ertz didn't kill the monster. She just put it to sleep. With no choice, he flees, leaving all of his teammates dead on the floor. Grant immediately realizes they can't put that boss to sleep again. Ertz confirms there's no mana left to use and everything she did before was just disabling its. Grant mutters that like he always said. One day she'd die because she refuses to use violence. She smiles and replies, that might be true, but you won't. And with that, boom, she charges forward, activating some kind of heroic final power-up. Dear God, the guy screamed at her not to do it, but she kept running straight toward the bear. Obviously, the anti-mana poison was still active. She was coughing up blood the whole way. She kept pushing forward, but she couldn't absorb anything, and then the monster lunged to smack her with a massive paw. That's when someone hit CTRL plus V, baby. Oh man, just when I wanted to see what was going to happen, the chapter ended right there. I thought he was going to give her some mana so she could put the beast to sleep again, but nope. Turns out he wrapped the boss up in a massive web cocoon and slammed it to the ground. Like, what the hell, my guy? That ability of yours is seriously busted. The thing looked like a full-on mummy now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next upload.